no, others. That's a lot.
I mean, that was a lot of headlines. Thank you, Oji. Of course, we're joined now by Comrade Emmanuel Onwubiko, who, of course, leads the Human Rights Writers Association. He'll be weighing in on the headlines making the news this morning. Comrade Onwubiko, thank you so much for joining us from the Center of Unity this morning. And happy TGIF. Happy Friday to you. Happy Friday.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I mean, there's so many headlines, and I think we'll start from what concerns us down here. And of course, that's the Anambra gubernatorial elections set for November 8th. Now, the president has charged Amupitan to prove himself during that election. Amupitan has promised to deliver free, fair, credible elections, while the president has given him marching orders to do that in Anambra as somewhat of a litmus test. How do you feel about the emergence of the newly confirmed and sworn-in INEC Chair Joash Amupitan?
Well, thank you very much. I think substantially there is nothing so much to celebrate about the emergence of the new chairman of Independent National Electoral Commission at this moment in time, because basically is the same kind of, the same kind of story we have had for quite some time since the democracy was bettered in Nigeria in 1999. INEC is not completely independent. The chairman of INEC ought not to be appointed by the president, particularly in a situation where the incumbent president is also desperately running for re-election. It doesn't really make any sense for one of the candidates for an election that will take place in another less than 2 years to be the one appointing the arbiter. He's not going to be an independent ombudsman. He's like he who pays the piper dictates the tune. We don't think INEC has sufficient independence, sufficient ethical freedom to conduct free, fair, transparent elections. By the way, if INEC is independent in terms of if they are autonomous operationally and in terms of funding, the president doesn't have to give them it's not the job of the president to tell INEC, look, we want to see how you're going to conduct Anambra State governorship election. That is not the job of the president, because the INEC constitutionally is independent. INEC should be able to manage the election that is coming in Anambra State, So, I mean, the whole thing is a charade. As long as some of us are concerned, it's a charade. It will take a miracle. And they do a miracle for the next election cycle to be free, fair, transparent, and peaceful, because intelligence is pointing towards a compromise national electoral management body led by the current, the newly sworn-in chairman of INEC, who has even started by using the often applied cliché by politicians who believe that their election is divine. What is divine in the appointment of the chairman of INEC? That is an abuse of theology. It's a theological abuse. Your election is not, your appointment is not divine. Your appointment, you were appointed by the president of the country. You're appointed for a specific task. You're not appointed to be a pastor or an imam. So are you linking? Are you bringing divinity to that job?
Okay. So apparently, you're just being skeptical about Joash Amupitan, right? The new INEC chair. You don't even literally believe, even though he's quoting us with so many promises, that he's going to change the face of this institution. This new institution is going to be the chairman. He's the chairman, by the way. And also, Anambra being a benchmark. Let's see what is going to happen in Anambra. So entirely, what you're stating right here is that you don't literally believe in this man, Joash Amupitan, to give us a credible, free, fair election.
I mean, essentially, that's what Comrade is saying. I think right now, what I think is most scandalous is that we're all seeing this happen. Handshakes exchanged with Mr. President, being charged to deliver free, fair elections in Anambra. But nobody can say anything. I mean, and it all appears as if this is the status quo, that the president should be able to deliver the speech, swear in the new INEC chairman, despite being a candidate himself for the 2027 elections. So could you tell us, what do you think is wrong with what we're watching on screen? What are the loopholes and why is it all accepted?
Well, the misfortune we have found ourselves, we found ourselves now, in terms of not being able to say that if we go into an election, that we're going to have it transparently and in a very fair manner. The mistake is that over time, right from the inception of this democratic experiment in 1999, there hasn't been any deliberate and committed efforts on the part of the lawmakers to give Nigeria a credible electoral act. Give Nigeria a credible electoral act in such a way that it will be elections that will take place will be seamless, and that the way and manner the transmission of the results of the elections are done are believable and credible. Well, we're just hearing piecemeal amendments have been made to the Electoral Act, which is totally absurd. We need to have a very standardized, credible, working document, a law to guide how the National Electoral Management Body conduct elections in Nigeria. And then I also want to say that all of us in our organization, we got an intelligence that we do not think that there will be the election that is going to come up, that is going to be conducted by the current chairman of INEC is going to be fair and fair, because you don't even need to have that intelligence to be able to conclude. First and foremost, we have an incumbent who is very desperate, who wants to return by all means. He wants to be re-elected in 2027 by all means. And virtually everybody around him, those who ought to be in government, scandalously, even those who are holding public offices, like the Senate President, who is holding public office, will now use, public, funds to make all kinds of statements stating that the incumbent president must be returned in 2027. And the political climate in Nigeria for now is that of desperation on the part of the incumbent. 2 years to the conduct of the next elections, you already have signboards, you already have billboards of Mr. President being planted in strategic places, near traffic stands. If you come to Abuja as I speak, there's hardly any street, any major highway where you don't find the billboards of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, either one character or the other, trying to endorse him. And Mr. President knows that this is against the Electoral Act. This is against electoral. You don't begin campaign before INEC blows the whistle. And even the immediate past, INEC Chairman made a last-minute effort to try to correct politicians, not to flout the law. But Mr. President, who is who is the president of the country, he doesn't even care about what the law says. He does whatever he wants to do. Whatever suits his fancy is what he does. And it's quite funny to find him yesterday speaking like as if he's delivering a sermon from the from the pulpit of a church or a mosque. It doesn't make sense. Asking the INEC Chairman to go and conduct an election, freely.
Comrade Omubiko, I mean, you really are just saying a lot of things this morning. I mean, some would say they saw him giving marching orders, so he seemed more like a general, giving the marching orders to go and deliver fair elections in Anambra. So, I mean, you're really taking a religious path this morning, Oji.
Yeah. Okay, well, in all this, you made something very salient, so you're taking it to the electoral law and the amendments and all that, though. So, I'll ask you this question right now. In all the clauses, right? Because I think that's the only way to counter whatever is going to happen during the elections, come 2027 or even, or thereabout. To counter that is to strengthen our electoral laws, right? What clauses do you think that we should actually, at this point in time, look into to strengthen and make sure that we have a free, fair, and credible election come 2027? And also, the electoral transmission is, the whole, how I'm going to put it, if it's not working, we have to revert to what it used to be and all that. So can you rail out some clauses you think that we should look into at this point in time, strengthen it to make sure that we adhere to these laws and avert, countering, doing the opposite, which is if the IRF or the electronic transmission is not working, we revert to what it used to be?
I don't think there's so much problem with the innovations that were introduced by the immediate past management in INEC. Well, I think it's just the former chairman that stepped out. Most of the national commissioners that work with him are still around. Those who introduced the management that introduced those innovations by way of using electronic transmission of results when election is being conducted, and as soon as voting in those polling booths are over, the results are fed into the system and digitally transmitted to all over the country. There's no problem with that. The only problem we have, especially the one we witnessed in 2023, was just man-made. It was something that was manipulated by INEC to suit the party that was in power, the APC. When they saw that the party in power was actually losing the election, they had to manipulate the electronic mechanism for transfer of the transmission of results, and started giving a lot of excuses that there were glitches. But there was no single glitch when it came to the transmission of results of National Assembly elections that were conducted simultaneously with that of the president. The election that was conducted in 2023 was done almost simultaneously. The National Assembly elections, the Senate, House of Rep, and that of the president were conducted on the same table and at the same time. You just collect the ballot papers for the respective election. The respective aspect of the election that you're going to participate in, the voting,
right,
that of Senate, that of House of Rep, and that of the president. Everything is done at once. So how come that in 2023, INEC was unable to transmit the results of the presidential election?
All right.
Simultaneously. Almost, simultaneously.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It is because there was something fishy. They were actually trying to manipulate the election, and they succeeded in manipulating the election.
Mm-hmm. All right, Comrade Owumiko, let's shift away from there now and look at the Federal High Court in Abuja, where Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is expected to open his defense properly today, following, of course, appeals by some senior advocates of Nigeria in the courtroom yesterday. Now, the most shocking development for many Nigerians was the fact that Mazi Kanu sacked his legal team and has elected to represent himself. How do you feel about this move by Mazi Kanu?
Well, I don't think it's altogether a shocking phenomenon. It's something. If you're a journalist that have covered courts, I have covered courts when I was very active in the Guardian newspaper. I covered court for about 7 years in Abuja, and I've seen quite a number of litigants who opted to defend themselves without the lawyers. Even when they are offered the opportunity of being provided with a lawyer from the legal counsel, they chose to go, because maybe they don't have sufficient, trust. But I think the case of Nnamdi Kanu is unique in the sense that Nnamdi Kanu is just being persecuted. Nnamdi Kanu's persecution is not constitutional. It's just the system, the government in place is just persecuting Nnamdi Kanu because of political reasons. He's just a political prisoner. He ought not to be there where he is. A lot of people have done things, words and words, they say Nnamdi Kanu did, and they're walking the streets free. In fact, there are some of those political stakeholders, even people like Bayo Nanuga had made a lot of incendiary comments that a DSS ought to have arrested him and put him in detention. But because he's from the he's part of the presidency, he's just there. Bayo Nanuga made a very nasty comments about Lagos State, where he warned the Igbos to stay away from Lagos politics or they will be taught a lesson. That was a hate speech coming from a person that was actually one of the spokespersons of that presidential campaign, and they went ahead to reward him with a very juicy appointment in the presidency as a spokesperson, the strategic spokesperson of Mr. President. So I personally, in my organization, think that the current legal odyssey, the ordeals of Nnamdi Kanu, is choreographed persecution by the government. The government does not have the moral ground to continue to prosecute Nnamdi Kanu. When the same government, this same Tinubu government, arrested the national president of Miyetti Allah, the Cattle Railers Association. Miyetti Allah, as you know, during the Buhari 8 years administration, committed atrocities, grave atrocities, killed a lot of farmers. And in fact, they didn't even hide the fact that they are the ones, actually arming the killers in the local areas. And they didn't hide it because when the late governor of Ondo State, Rotimi Akeredolu, started a policy in Ondo State asking everyone that is occupying the forest in Ondo State to vacate, or they're going to use, Amoteku, the regional security vigilante that was set up by the Southwest, because those guys in the Southwest are very serious, they're very committed towards protecting their regions, unlike what you have in the Southeast. So when that law was made by the Ondo State House of Assembly, everybody saw that the Miyetti Allah national president said he wasn't going to obey that. They are going to remain in the forest, and if the Amotekun or the vigilante try to do anything, they're going to confront them. And then even the then president Buhari, through his spokesperson Garbachew, took side with the Miyetti Allah, saying that nobody should stop anybody from occupying the forest. Why should the president even talk about somebody occupying the forest? Why should the citizen occupy the forest when the forest is for the wild animals? So why should you occupy the forest when you're supposed to live in a house like a human being? And then there were a lot of confrontations between headers and confrontations that were unleashed on farmers. I don't want to say.
It's really tragic, the trajectory the country is going currently. But we have to also take it back to what happened right after the warm embrace and the exchange of pleasantries between activist Omoyele and the detained IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu. After that exchange, the warm exchange, Showore was arrested right there within the Federal High Court premises, and then the police said he was not arrested. He was invited by the CP saying that when they went ahead and looked at all of the statements issued by those they had arrested on the day of the protest, one name rang through those statements, and that was his name being the one as alleged to have led them into the restricted zones that they were not supposed to go in during the protest. I doubt the police needed statements to know he led the protest. Did they need the statement to know that?
Let me say it straight away. There's no court of law in Nigeria that has the power. No court of Nigeria has the power to limit the constitutional right of the Nigerian citizens to organize peaceful assembly, peaceful protest. Chapter 4 of the Constitution recognizes that. The law courts are not law-making bodies. The only body that is charged with the statutory duty of amending the Constitution is the National Assembly. So the court that gave that kangaroo, that watered down kind of, if I thought there was another that was given that people shouldn't go to certain places. Why should certain places be restricted? Why should that sort of be restricted to Nigerian citizens? When Nigerian citizens are the owners of the sovereignty of Nigeria. If you go to the Constitution, you go to the earliest part of the Constitution, it is specifically said that the people of Nigeria, in fact, chapter 2, if you go to section 14, the people of Nigeria are the owners of the sovereignty of Nigeria. We are the ones. It is the legitimacy that the public office holders hold in Nigeria to exercise authority in Nigeria. All the elected people, beginning from Mr. President to the last person, to the councillors, the legitimacy to exercise authority were donated to them by the people of Nigeria. So why will you not become a president and say a court rule that certain people shouldn't go to certain places to demonstrate? It doesn't make sense at all. So, and for the police to be so shamelessly lawless to go to the Federal High Court's premises to kidnap Showore is very unfortunate, because Showore has become a person of interest, special interest, because he has said a lot of things that are supposed to be said by people who have minds, who are rational. The IGP, the Inspector General of Police, is occupying that position illegally because his tenure was extended because of the fact that his case man, the person he served as chief security officer when he was Lagos State governor. I'm talking of Tinubu. Tinubu had to retroactively extend the tenure of the IGP. IGP is occupying that position illegally, and that is what Sowore said, which is just a fact. You don't amend an existing law, the Police Act of 2020. You amended it. You amended it when the current IGP was in office. You amended it, and you now retroactively applied it and make the IGP to benefit because he was the chief security officer. So Sowore has already said that he does not even recognize the authority of the IGP, and the IGP has not been very happy about what Sowore has been doing lately, how Sowore has been mobilizing retired police officers to fight for their rights, special rights and the rest. So it is absolutely illegal for the FCT Police Command to kidnap Sowore from the premises of the law court. And let me tell you, I want to use this opportunity, if any police person, if the person working for the IGP is listening, nothing should ever happen to Sowore, because Sowore is the person that has revealed a lot of secrets about some of these political office holders, including the FCT minister, how he bought houses worth millions of dollars in Florida, and he bought those property in the name of his wife, and the wife in turn gave it to his children who were less than 18. He made that expose, and he has already even petitioned the political authority in Florida. And now you have FCT Police Command who virtually collects peanuts from the FCT minister going to kidnap Sowore.
All right. I mean, you're making. All right. Let me comment. Okay. You're making some strong allegations. Of course, we know that is in the public space, and you're just quoting what people have said. Of course, but those comments are still under investigation. But it's great that you brought that to the fore. Now, speaking of the FCT minister, we also see that Nnamdi Kanu is calling on him as one of the witnesses. Do you think the FCT minister would make his way to the Federal High Court within his jurisdiction to, serve as a witness in Nnamdi Kanu's defense?
He has to attend. He has to go. He has to respect the law, except if he's lawless. Because in Nigeria, the political class think that they are above the law. If they think they are above the law, maybe they will not respect what the court says. If a defendant in a case said, "This is my witness," that witness must appear. Must appear before the court. You understand? So Wike does not have any right not to object that he's not going to appear. He must appear. And let me tell you, Wike is a very special person when it comes to the agitation for Biafra or whatever. Wike, as a governor, used some kind of extrajudicial means to allegedly kill a lot of Igbos, people. And he made a lot of comments, incendiary comments against Nnamdi Kanu. So I think he's a very special person that has to attend that court so that Nnamdi Kanu can ask him certain questions. Since he seems to know more about the agitation that have been organized by those boys who belong to Indigenous People of Biafra. And most of these other names that were mentioned, like Malami. Malami was the incompetent Attorney General under Buhari when Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped in Kenya. Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped. He was abducted in the night and brought back in chains. And Malami was the one that was addressing the press when Nnamdi Kanu came back. In fact, he was even addressing the press when he was parading Nnamdi Kanu unconstitutionally before the press. And Nnamdi Kanu was in handcuff. He was in chain. He was addressing that, we have arrested Nnamdi Kanu. They did not arrest Nnamdi Kanu. They kidnapped him from Kenya. So those witnesses that have been summoned by Nnamdi Kanu must appear before the court and give the relevant responses to the questions that Nnamdi Kanu will ask. But what I have to say is that the prosecution of Nnamdi Kanu is unconstitutional. It's a persecution. It's a persecution because as I was talking, I didn't even finish. I said Miyetti Allah president was arrested by this government. The Federal Attorney General Lateef Fagbemi, took him to court, charged him to court, and at the end of maybe within 3 months, 4 months, the Federal Attorney General released the Miyetti Allah president, whose organization Miyetti Allah have been accused of killing so many farmers, hundreds and thousands of farmers all over the country. Plateau State, Benue State, a lot of communities have been wiped out in Benue State, a lot of communities have been wiped out in Plateau State, and this violence were unleashed by people who are affiliated to Miyetti Allah. And Miyetti Allah president was arrested by this government, and they released him because the president is desperate to return in 2027, and he needs the endorsement of the North, because the North seem to be shifting away from him. So he wants to pacify and appease the North.
These are good points, of course, your opinion you're sharing. Oji, go ahead.
Okay, literally, I want to take it back again to Nnamdi Kanu saying that he will self-represent himself, by the way, in the law court, you know, in a high-profile case like such as his, by the way. So my question is he making a grave mistake, knowing fully well that his laws are meant to be left to the lawyers because they know the foundation and how to prepare and, you know, the questions and whatnot, right? Do you think that these would, you know, at the end of the day, bring out the rightful result we're all expecting? Him mounting that dog and being the one representing himself by himself.
Well, I've said it that if you listen to comments that have been made by some legal experts, they have been able to reel out some instances where litigants, where defendants have opted to defend themselves. Nnamdi Kanu's case is not, it's not different. Maybe somehow he may end up either re-engaging some lawyers. He has done this before. That was the time he fired his lawyers. He fired Ozokome and Ifeanyi Ejiofor, and later re-engaged the former Federal Attorney General, Minister of Justice, Kanu. You know, so maybe somehow he may re-engage, he may engage other lawyers, or he may decide to defend himself. What is even there to defend? What is there for Nnamdi Kanu to defend?
My issue here is
persecution.
Yeah.
There's nothing there to defend.
My issue here is, sir. Yeah. My issue here is his temperament. You know, would he hold out? Because they might use that as a tool to counsel him.
No. If appear in court, and you are a citizen, or you appear in court, everybody knows that the environment of the court is a very solemn, venue. It's not a place you go and shout as if you are granting an interview in a radio station. It's a place you go and you conduct yourself. There are ethos.
I like that you mentioned that, Comrade Onwubiko, because we've seen Nnamdi Kanu blow hot before. He has blown hot in the court before, right? So are we going to say that the courtroom will be too solemn for him to blow hot when he's been incarcerated for at least 5 years?
Sometimes when you believe that the system, the country, the government is against you, sometimes you speak with emotions, you speak with passion, and people mistake it for, that he's blowing hot. He's not saying anything that is very offensive. He's just trying to defend himself. And let me tell you, this is the first time that anybody is appearing in court and is complaining that I'm feeling unwell. I'm having some kind of heart-related illness, and the court had to constitute a panel of Nigerian Medical Association. Nigerian Medical Association is a political agency, a political government that is affiliated to the federal government. This is the first time any litigant, any defendant is appearing before a court, and the court will say, NMA, set up a panel and see whether this man is actually sick. There are a lot of rogues, political rogues, that have stolen their states blind. One of them from Kogi State is alleged to have stolen his state blind. He went to court and said he wanted to go overseas for medical thing. The court did not constitute a panel of Nigerian Medical Association to verify if he's actually sick. They gave him back his passport and he traveled. So many rogues in government, thieves in government, who appear in courts, EFCC are prosecuting them. They take excuses that they are having medical challenges, and the court has never. I've covered the court for about 7 years, and I've watched developments in almost all the courts in Nigeria. I've never had that a litigant appearing or a defendant appearing before a court will complain that he's not feeling fine based on a medical report by his doctors. I've never heard that the court will now constitute a panel. Why that discrimination? That's discriminatory. That's against the Constitution.
Good point, Condon, because we have just 30 seconds left on our clock, and I have to ask you this.
Section 421 bans the government from discriminating on the basis
you've made the point. You've made the point, Condon, and like I said, it's a great point. Now, I would like you to wrap this up for us. We have just 30 seconds left. Do you think that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu sacked his legal team because he had lost trust or confidence in them, or is there another reason that you suspect?
No, I don't think so. Nnamdi Kanu has shown from what we have seen on TV, what we have seen on radio interviews, has granted. He has the highest kind of respect for Kanu Agabi. Kanu Agabi is one of Nigeria's best lawyers. Kanu Agabi is a very established legal mind.
So why sack him? Why sack him?
What is his decision to sack him?
Why?
Are you in his pocket? Do you know if he has enough money to pay them? Do you know the legal fees that these lawyers charge? Some of you are just in the studio saying, why did he sack him? Do you know, we wanted to go to court to challenge the IGP for introducing an illegal policy of charging people for tinted glasses. We wanted to hire a lawyer, and the lawyer was giving us a bill of 2 million naira. You know, if we have 2 million naira, when we have a lot of widows, we have a lot of women in our Ondo, that we can give to 200,000 naira to set up businesses to help themselves. Why should I take 2 million naira and give the lawyer? Because I want to challenge a bad policy of government. So you have to also ask that question. Does Nnamdi Kanu must have exhausted his capital? He's been there for 10 years. He's been detained illegally for 10 years, so many years. He's been going to court in and out. Even when the appeal court decided that he should be free, the company refused to.
Comrade, we're out of time now. We have to wrap this up. We know we can never say enough. That's why we have so many headlines. Thank you once again. Such great points that you've made on the show today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The Morning Show will return in just moments. When we come back, we'll be delving deeper into those proceedings. Of course, we'll be joined by a legal practitioner to tell us more about this, Barrister Wabuko. We'll look at the clip, what Nnamdi Kanu said while he was there in the dock, and of course, how much progress was made before some SANS intervened and said he should have some time to prepare and then come back again today to continue his defense. Stay tuned.